1번. 다음 글에서 필자가 주장하는 바로 가장 적절한 것은?
23% of people admit to having shared a fake news story on a popular social networking site, either accidentally or on purpose. According to a 2016 Pew Research Center survey, it's tempting for me to attribute it to people being willfully ignorant. Yet the news ecosystem has become so overcrowded and complicated that I can understand why navigating it is challenging. When in doubt, we need to cross-check storylines ourselves. The simple act of fact-checking prevents misinformation from shaping our thoughts. We can consult websites such as factcheck.org to gain a better understanding of what's true or false, fact or opinion.
2번. 다음 글에서 필자가 주장하는 바로 가장 적절한 것은?
At a publishing house and at a newspaper you learn the following. It's not a mistake if it doesn't end up in print. It's the same for email. Nothing bad can happen if you haven't hit the send key. What you've written can have misspellings, errors of fact, rude comments, obvious lies. But it doesn't matter. If you haven't sent it, you still have time to fix it. You can correct any mistake and nobody will ever know the difference. This is easier said than done, of course. Send is your computer's most attractive command. But before you hit the send key, make sure that you read your document carefully one last time.
3번. 다음 글에서 필자가 주장하는 바로 가장 적절한 것은?
Sometimes you feel the need to avoid something. That will lead to success out of discomfort. Maybe you are avoiding extra work because you are tired. You are actively shutting out success because you want to avoid being uncomfortable. Therefore, overcoming your instinct to avoid uncomfortable things at first is essential. Try doing new things outside of your comfort zone. Change is always uncomfortable, but it is key to doing things differently. In order to find that magical formula for success.
4번. 다음 글에서 필자가 주장하는 바로 가장 적절한 것은?
When I was in the army, my instructors would show up in my barracks room. And the first thing they would inspect was our bed. It was a simple task. But every morning we were required to make our bed to perfection. It seemed a little ridiculous at the time. But the wisdom of this simple act has been proven to me many times over. If you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. It will give you a small sense of pride. And it will encourage you to do another task and another. By the end of the day, that one task completed will have turned into many tasks completed. If you can't do little things right, you will never do the big things right.
5번. 다음 글에서 필자가 주장하는 바로 가장 적절한 것은?
Meetings encourage creative thinking and can give you ideas that you may never have thought of on your own. However, on average, meeting participants consider about 1/3 of meeting time to be unproductive. But you can make your meetings more productive and more useful by preparing well in advance. You should create a list of items to be discussed and share your list with other participants before a meeting. It allows them to know what to expect in your meeting and prepare to participate.
6번. 다음 글에서 필자가 주장하는 바로 가장 적절한 것은?
It is easy to judge people based on their actions. We are often taught to put more value in actions than words. And for good reason. The actions of others often speak volumes louder than their words. However, when someone exhibits some difficult behavior, you might want to reserve judgment for later. People are not always defined by their behavior. It is common to think, he is so bossy, or she is so mean, after observing less than desirable behavior in someone. But you should never make such assumptions right away. You should give someone a second chance before you label them and shut them out forever. You may find a great coworker or best friend in someone. So don't eliminate a person from your life based on a brief observation.
7번. 다음 글에서 필자가 주장하는 바로 가장 적절한 것은?
Keeping good ideas floating around in your head is a great way to ensure that they won't happen. Take a tip from writers who know that the only good ideas that come to life are the ones that get written down. Take out a piece of paper and record everything you'd love to do someday. Aim to hit 100 dreams. You'll have a reminder and motivator to get going on those things that are calling you. And you also won't have the burden of remembering all of them. When you put your dreams into words, you begin putting them into action.
8번. 다음 글에서 필자가 주장하는 바로 가장 적절한 것은?
When I was in high school, we had students who could study in the coffee shop and not get distracted by the noise or everything happening around them. We also had students who could not study if the library was not super quiet. The latter students suffered because even in the library, it was impossible to get the type of complete silence they sought. These students were victims of distractions who found it very difficult to study anywhere, except in their private bedrooms. In today's world, it is impossible to run away from distractions. Distractions are everywhere, but if you want to achieve your goals, you must learn how to tackle distractions. You cannot eliminate distractions, but you can learn to live with them in a way that ensures they do not limit you.
9번. 다음 글에서 필자가 주장하는 바로 가장 적절한 것은?
How do you encourage other people when they are changing their behavior? Suppose you see a friend who is on a diet and has been losing a lot of weight. It's tempting to tell her that she looks great and she must feel wonderful. It feels good for someone to hear positive comments, and this feedback will often be encouraging. However, if you end the discussion there, then the only feedback your friend is getting is about her progress toward an outcome. Instead, continue the discussion. Ask about what she is doing that has allowed her to be successful. What is she eating? Where is she working out? What are lifestyle changes she has made? When the conversation focuses on the process of change rather than the outcome, it reinforces the value of creating a sustainable process.
10번. 다음 글에서 필자가 주장하는 바로 가장 적절한 것은?
Something comes over most people when they start writing. They write in a language different from the one they would use if they were talking to a friend. If, however, you want people to read and understand what you write, write it in spoken language. Written language is more complex, which makes it more work to read. It's also more formal and distant, which makes the readers lose attention. You don't need complex sentences to express ideas. Even when specialists in some complicated field express their ideas, they don't use sentences any more complex than they do when talking about what to have for lunch. If you simply manage to write in spoken language, you have a good start as a writer.
11번. 다음 글에서 필자가 주장하는 바로 가장 적절한 것은?
If you were at a social gathering in a large building, and you overheard someone say that the roof is on fire, what would be your reaction? Until you knew more information, your first inclination might be toward safety and survival. But if you were to find out that this particular person was talking about a song called The Roof is on Fire, your feelings of threat and danger would be diminished. So once the additional facts are understood that the person was referring to a song and not a real fire, the context is better understood, and you are in a better position to judge and react. All too often people react far too quickly and emotionally over information without establishing context. It is so important for us to identify context related to information, because if we fail to do so, we may judge and react too quickly.
12번. 다음 글에서 필자가 주장하는 바로 가장 적절한 것은?
Experts on writing say, get rid of as many words as possible. Each word must do something important. If it doesn't, get rid of it. Well, this doesn't work for speaking. It takes more words to introduce, express, and adequately elaborate an idea in speech than it takes in writing. Why is this so? While the reader can reread, the listener cannot rehear. Speakers do not come equipped with a replay button. Because listeners are easily distracted, they will miss many pieces of what a speaker says. If they miss the crucial sentence, they may never catch up. This makes it necessary for speakers to talk longer about their points, using more words on them than would be used to express the same idea in writing.
13번. 다음 글에서 필자가 주장하는 바로 가장 적절한 것은?
We tend to go long periods of time without reaching out to the people we know. Then, we suddenly take notice of the distance that has formed, and we scramble to make repairs. We call people we haven't spoken to in ages, hoping that one small effort will erase the months and years of distance we've created. However, this rarely works. Relationships aren't kept up with big one-time fixes. They're kept up with regular maintenance, like a car. In our relationships, we have to make sure that not too much time goes by between oil changes, so to speak. This isn't to say that you shouldn't bother calling someone just because it's been a while since you've spoken, just that it's more ideal not to let yourself fall out of touch in the first place. Consistency always brings better results.